I was just remembering I used to watch Doctor Who as a kid, and as I think there were some episodes where someone would just suddenly appear in the room, and that's what it was like watching Barbara and Natalie. They just suddenly were in the room, like in Doctor Who. The future is now. So I am buzzing, and I got the courage a couple of months ago to finally initiate something I've wanted to do for some years, and that is to gather people together in WA who are really passionate about NVC and are maybe running a practice group or wanting to become a certified trainer, or in some way really have a history with it. And so I got onto it, and we did that on Saturday in Perth. We gathered for the whole day. There were, I think, about 14 of us and another probably 5 or 6 who wanted to be there and couldn't. And I just want to mention that apart from the beginning where we spent an hour introducing ourselves to each other, we then entered into the open space process of creating the agenda together, which for some people was brand new. And I just love it because it just opens up for people to create the discussions that they want to have and do the things they want to do on that day. And that's just what happened. It was very exciting. Yeah, and now we have another one happening in January, and they're looking at seeing if we can do a whole retreat for WA, an extended one later in the year. So, and I wanted to say that here because I just recognised that it's the courage of us women that I see jumping in and trying things that encourages me. I love that word, encourages me, gives me courage. And some of the words that some of you have spoken, like, well, just the way knows the way, trust it, you know, good enough for now. What's the rest of that? Safe enough to try. Some of those sorts of things. I feel that support under me going ahead. So thank you, everybody. I might just stay on a few more minutes to enjoy some of your voices, and then I'll just quietly bop away. Oh, sorry, I wanted to also say, and I won't be here next week, we're going camping for 2 weeks, and I don't know how much, if any, of the weekend I will get to. I hope to get to some of it. That's me. Perhaps I'll pass on to Irene.
Thank you, Chris. It was wonderful to hear that you've had 14 people. That's amazing. Well done. What's there for me right at the moment? It's just I'm really enjoying being very active this morning, and then having a break and a cup of tea and cake out on the deck in the sun with John, and then he went off to do some work. It just kind of feels like a productive day, but it's got beauty and space in it as well. So I'm feeling grateful for that. And now I'm here with you, and I've got some lunch half done, and John will come in and do the rest. So I'll get fed, and all is well. Thank you. And Barbara, over to you.
Thank you. I like that, the encourage, Chris. That was so beautiful. And it feels wonderful to be part of adding to someone else's courage. It's great. I've been doing interesting inner work in the last week, and I've been kind of running with it more and just letting myself go. So I've kind of been, you know, if I've been out on a walk with the dog and I've noticed something in the corner of my eye, I've focused in on it. I've started to go, what's the energy of that thing and how would it move me and what sound might come? and then I've been kind of going, and is there a mythical figure that is the same energy, and just seeing what would come up. And if I get any kind of a sort of a thought, then I'm looking it up on the internet later. And it's just blowing my mind. And it's really, it's just been so rich. And so, yeah, that's me. I will pass to Natalie.
I really enjoyed that, Barbara, the asking question and being taken by the answers out of the blue. I just came back from a weekend, 3 days camping. 3 days. Oops, I'm having an echo. Oh, okay. What can I do about that? I hear myself twice. No, it's gone. Okay, weird. Yeah, women business for 3 days. So I'm half asleep. It wasn't the best sleep during the night and very intense energetically. A lot of magic and moving energy. But I just spent the morning pottering around, emptying the cars, putting things slowly in the house, and reflecting on the richness of the weekend coming together. 20 of us. In an amazing area, doing ceremonies and all sorts of prayers and singing and sharing, what women can do well together. So I'm digesting. I just wanted to pop in a little bit, just in case, you know, I could sprinkle a bit of what happened in those 3 days somehow. Thank you. And I pass on. Hey, hello, Cheryl.
I think Natalie's passed the check-in.
Hi, I'm like 2-hour walk with Helen. So it was so nice to finally see her and catch up, because she's actually in my 5K. So that was such a joy, and coming back into space. But that was really just a beautiful connection, because I miss all those connections. So it's just nice to be able to do that. And 3 days, that's still in the dream phase. I don't know who to pass on to, because I was late. So who do I pass on to? Who hasn't done it?
Karen, would you like to check in, or?
No one?
I don't mind. I can. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you.
It's you and me to go.
Yeah. I wonder, thank you, Shiz. I wonder, Chris, if you're up for hearing a reflection or some sort of something still here alive for me to acknowledge the joy that it was for me to hear that you set an intention, you stepped into your courage, you called forth something in a way that was really meaningful to you, and you trusted enough to open the space and let the collaboration begin. Like, I just have that sense of like, what a courageous process all the way through. And yeah, it just inspires me, and your acknowledgement of this group being a part of how that support carried you. Just precious to hear. Yeah, really. Thanks. I wish I was there on your weekend, Natalie. I'm a little bit jealous about going camping. And I also have such a rich, immediate feeling of you sprinkling that energy here with us. So I'm really grateful. And the sunshine from you, Irene, and the beautiful wave of like peace and productivity and joy and being fed, and like, and Barbara's joy of walking. I've just been really nourished by everybody's check-ins. Thank you. And I'm, yeah, feeling really gifted by life in this moment. That's all. Complete. Thank you. Over to you, Shez.
Yes, very nurturing. My mouth is, there's something about, there's almost like a tension in my lips from smiling with joy at hearing everybody. Yes, and what else? Well, I did some, I'm celebrating doing some mourning yesterday morning, Sunday morning. That was really, it was just such a wonderful release, and I was home alone, so I could make sound, and has had this absolute freedom to let my body express what was there. So very grateful for that space, time, and a way to do that. Yeah. There's been a bit of creativity flowing since then. So, yeah, I feel quite peaceful. That's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Shez. Breath of peace in there. Thank you. And I just want to say extra delight hearing that you spent time with Helen, Cheryl. So next time you see her in person, I would love it if you'd be willing to pass on my love and maybe a sense of that she's still thought of in the community. Bye, Chris. Thanks so much for popping in. So I wonder whether or not I just jump into a little bit of the news for the week. There's a few things in the mailbag. I feel like, do you guys know that Blue's Clues show? I used to watch it with my kids. It's like, here we're going to go to the mailbag and get the news. Let me just screen share for a sec. Yeah. So I had a message from Viola this morning. She's been really enjoying the Collective Trauma Summit that some of us have been watching as an online, it's like a 10-day collection of interviews and talks hosted by a fellow called Thomas Hubel. And I have had some really wonderful moments of clarity, and have felt really contributed to by this particular summit. I've watched maybe 5 or 6 of the sessions so far, and Viola has reached out this morning and said, I'd like to buy it for Wise Women Rising as a collective we can share a login and be able to keep a library of what was shared at the summit. So I'm feeling really grateful to her, and I've said that I'd be happy to chip in, and that if we what I might do is post this message of thanks to Viola on our Facebook page, and if there's others who might enjoy to chip in a little bit, if you think you might enjoy to watch it, then that would be lovely too. But just to acknowledge Viola's generosity.
That's wonderful, because I've watched some too, and I was going to add that to my check-in, and I thought, oh, that's enough. And I thought, gee, I'd love to be able to watch some of these again. So,
yeah.
And I did have that thought about, oh, I wonder if we could buy it as a group. So, yay, thanks, Viola.
Exactly. Yeah, very delighted. I wanted to share this. Jennifer shared with me last month when it popped up on her history on Facebook. And I just thought, oh, how gorgeous. She shared it directly with me. Said, how about this? We've been all manifesting it for quite some time. Yeah. Bearing witness to each other's stories with compassion. Yay. So thank you, Jennifer, for sharing that with me. I really got a delight buzz out of that, and I thought, oh, I'm going to include it in the news. And this piece from Bridget, which really delighted and inspired me a little. I don't know if I can make those arrows go away, but there they go. About regenerative development and how this relational quality between us as human beings, prospering the relationships and looking at ways we can have healthy relationship again with capital in different realms, and having that sense of I like that last sentence, creating a regenerative future will require every level of society to adopt a new set of values and to reorganize in ways that facilitate collaboration, evolution and innovation. So just enjoying a sort of gentle sense of that there's real meaning to me. There was anyway, but there seems to be, it's fitting with the regenerative sort of choice making that serves well-being. So that was lovely to read that from Bridget. The time bank, I wanted to mention that I've added a half an hour option to the how we can book each other, and I've called it a curiosity call because I'm aware from more than one member that there's not really yet a clarity of what you want to offer on the time bank. Perhaps it's actually simply your time, and it could be that someone wants to reach out to you and have a conversation with you about what they want to, that they don't know what they want to offer on the time bank either, but they just have it moves them to want to reach out to you. They've got an inspiration to do that. So what I'm hoping is that even before we know exactly what we want to put as our offers in the time exchange, that I encourage everyone to consider emailing me or texting me your available hour or hour and a half or 2 hours in your week that you can pretty consistently say that time is usually free, and just have it as a block for Wise Women Rising. And the system will then notify you if someone books in with you in that time. Really grateful, thank you to Barbara for reaching out with your hour and a half. That's ideal on a Tuesday evening, yay. So just wanting to encourage others to consider their timing, even if they're not clear with what their hour or hour and a half or 2 hours is yet in terms of what their offer. I just wanted to check in as well about perhaps a little bit of news from the hubs. And this piece, we're bringing this piece back from, I suppose, my sense of valuing this process called groundwork, which the core group of the Wise Women Rising, who last year did a piece of groundwork training with Mel Gelch, we really got something very wonderful out of getting connected to our needs and crafting a sense of purpose that was in the middle for us as a group. And then looking at the practical, structural, cultural, strategic, it was like we got human first. We made sure that human was in the center. And our real feelings and needs was alive there first as an energy, and then started to think about what practical, structural, or what other things were important to us as a group. And I bring this back up for two reasons. One, I think the hubs are just starting to get past the job of everybody sharing their stories, which has been extraordinary as an experience for me. And the storytelling, I learned at the Trauma Summit that we can't look to do integrative work until we all know that we've been seen in our uniqueness, particularly around healing and restoration. The wisdom is we don't move towards integration and oneness and sort of wholeness until we've really heard each other's stories and pain, particularly when there's reconciliation is concerned. And that's a really powerful aha moment for me, which I'd already sort of got, but it really reinforces why the preciousness of each telling our stories in our hubs, to really appreciate each other's uniqueness and our stories of where we come from. And I think this is the next step. This is what I recommend, because I've already had an experience with it in Wise Women Rising, and it was meaningful. And there is a booklet to explain more about this groundwork process on the website, in the library, in the resource library. And I also hope that we can bring it alive in the retreat, actually, the upcoming conference, because I actually think that bringing groundwork understanding to that conference may be helpful. We may even have a groundwork session at the conference to support us as a community. Is there something alive, questions or anything about that that's... No? Okay, moving on. I just wanted to, I guess I posted this as an expression of my longing for, it was contribution alive, and also creativity. There was some creativity buzzing about putting the pieces of this story of Wise Women Rising, starting to name those foundational pieces that I think that the hubs can bring a rich sense of community and consciousness raising, like really bringing awareness around how we relate consciously, so that we bring joyful, empathic experiences for each other, as well as holding our precious work. So that I posted this here on the Facebook page, and particularly fell in love with this idea of social kintsugi. Thank you, Cheryl, for bringing that piece, that kintsugi memory to me, because that has really inspired me. And now to the conference. Just clarifying from last week, we are moving ahead 9th to the 11th, and that there's been some curiosity for me, and perhaps I can come off share now and talk through with you the open space format, just so that if there's any questions, or if we can clarify what open space is in today's meeting, that it might contribute. So I just stop share. I did create a document, a Word doc, that has a link to a description of open space technologies. That's also been posted on the Facebook group. So there's a Word doc there that will step through what is open space, how does it work. But yeah, I have another little video clip I'm keen to share too if we get to it today. But right now, I just would love to land and hear.
Can I say something?
Yes. Please.
My laughter was because My last, I don't know, 10 years of teaching has been in an open space, that group scenario. So it has all these layers of meaning for me. So that was why so yeah, just thought I'd share that.
I am so delighting in the fact that it so resonates with you, that it's your rich life experience to be in open space and to be co-creative as a practice. Yeah, it means a lot to me too, and it's still reasonably new. I'm going to just, oh no, it's all right. My neighbour just pulled the bins past his bin past my front window, and my doggies didn't bark. Woo! Yay!
It's exciting. I just want to say I missed some of what Cheryl said. Her video froze. Was that true for others or just me?
It did pause briefly, yes.
What I did hear was, yeah, guys, you repeated it, Karen. So that's the only bit I heard, was that in your teaching in the last 10 years had been in open space, and I have a sense that you love it. That on your face, it looked like you're quite moved by the idea of it. Don't know, yeah. So if there was something else that you said, I didn't get it.
Yeah. Can I get a sense in this room how much experience there is with open space from others? Like, is there a sense that there's zero for you, Barbara? A little bit for you, Irene? A little bit. Zero for you, Natalie? Zero. Okay. And I'm guessing that most of your week, oh no, maybe not. Maybe the weekend was scheduled with different sessions, Natalie, or was it done in emergent space?
Yeah, we sort of we had together crafted program, a few of us. Yes.
Okay, so
Beforehand.
Yes. We had a program. Everybody, there was no money involved. There was a weekend. We had decided to have a cap number, so or more because of COVID, obviously. But everybody had chosen to contribute in some ways. So there was no money involved, and everybody chose what they wanted to offer. So we kind of organize the workshops, try to fit everyone and allocate different tasks. Yeah, that's how. So yeah, we co-created post event. Yeah.
Do you mean pre-event?
I mean possibly post, just before the event. Yes.
Yeah.
After it would be a bit tricky. Yes.
Yeah. So I didn't answer the question, but I have experienced open space a number of times.
I wonder, Shez, would you be willing to share a little of your experience of open space? I notice I have a description here, but that starts to go a bit messy, and I trust your ability to articulate what is open space in a couple of sentences, if you were up for it.
Well, I was actually thinking that this is not quite open space, because there's a number of, I guess, proposed sessions already, whereas my experience of open space is that we come together and people offer in the space. It's not it hasn't been pre-decided or formulated. It's just like there's this everybody together and people offer what they want to offer, and yeah, and there's a central purpose in being together. So yeah, I noticed that little distinction, and there's some rules. So in the open space that I've experienced, there's been a number of different physical spaces, and a number of time slots. And so we would have, say, an hour and a half, and then there's an opening circle, and then there's a session, and then it goes like that. And the sort of the breaks are the structure, and that things revolve around. So someone would offer something and choose a space, and then someone else would offer and choose a space, and they'd speak about it, give a little précis of what they're offering and why, and what they might do. And then there becomes this time where somebody's wanting to both offer something and attend something. It's like, oh, I really want to go to that. Maybe I'll move my offering until the afternoon slot, you know, like after lunch. So there's a live, organic dynamic of offering and working it out. And when my first experience of it was at a gathering in 2006, it was the first NVC gathering that I'd been to. And I had a conversation with my husband over the phone, and he said, "You sound depressed." I was like, "Do I? No, I'm not depressed. It was just an open space technology, and there's all these different offerings, and I need to be, you know, make a decision of where I'm going. And it's just kind of all new to me." And that leads me to this, one of the other laws of open space, which is the law of 2 feet, which is if you're in a session and it's not really quite alive for you, then you can, you know, quietly leave that space and go to another space where, yeah, it's about kind of, you know, meeting your needs, whether you're, you know, have a sense that you're contributing or that you're receiving what you really wanted to receive. Yeah, so you can move. And that's interesting if you're facilitating and somebody, you know, is there at the start and then goes, and if somebody comes in to a space that's been going for a little while. So it's a real practice of being in the moment and navigating these shifts and changes, which is a bit like life. Yeah, that's what's there for me right now. And we did have, at that very first gathering, we had the same woman, Robin Williams, introduce us to and facilitate this open space process of offerings and locations, and she did it. Chris partnered with her to do it in WA on Saturday. And when we had a gathering here in Melbourne, my colleague Millie O'Neill, a certified trainer, she facilitated that for us. So, and it's a system of post-its. So I'm curious about how it's going to work online, because we had a chart that was time slots, and the post-its would get put, and therefore they were movable. Like if I said, "Oh, I'm going to offer a session on morning in the green room in the second session," and then someone said, "Oh, I'm going to offer something else," and I went, "Oh, actually, I really want to do that. I'm going to move my morning session." So I'd take my post-it and shift it to another time slot. So yes, I'm curious about how this is going to work in this digital format. And even the moving from room to room, like how we will know what's happening in any given room, or even if there will be simultaneous sessions, or if there will just be one happening at a time, and we, you know, pick the things we want to go to, and that time slot is when it's on. Or yeah, I'm curious about how it's going to work. A little adventure.
Yes, it is an adventure. And
I am too. That was much more than 2 sentences.
No, but I'm so grateful, because I'm hoping, and I just want to check in with Barbara and Natalie, did that begin to sort of land as as a way of making sense in terms of this coming up conference? Is there questions that you might have?
I was just thinking Cheryl could add to it if she's been doing it for 10 years.
I'd love that. Yes, please.
Did you have a question, Natalie? Or something you wanted to add?
I feel like I have to go back and read about what's the theme of the weekend and what are we jumping in with. I'm aware already I won't be able to be there on a Friday night. So I just need, I was listening and I understand the principle. I just know what kind of water I'll be swimming in. I just, yes. So I'm listening, just taking it in for now. Yeah.
Thanks. That's so important, Natalie. Thank you. And it's alive for me to respond to that. And I'll pass back to you in a sec, Shez. I just want to respond by saying it's tender for me to make this request of the community and say, would you be willing to come and support the community development? So this is an inward community focused conference. That's why I've called it a conference as opposed to a retreat. So retreat for me is sort of what we've done so far has mostly been us facing out with the possibility of public people coming as well as community members coming to support our precious work in the sessions that we've done so far as retreats. And this conference is more about bringing your curiosity and your willingness to contribute in terms of the shaping the Wise Women Rising organisation. So there's possibilities for conversations like, do we want to become a co-op or what structure? That could be a question mark for a session. There's a couple of offerings that have been made, like Shez has made the offering of a session to talk about empathy in teams, how we hold the I and the me and you and the collective we. And there's a wonderful presentation from Marie Miyashiro about that Shez is willing to bring and share with us. And so what I'm imagining is the sessions are opportunities for you to bring questions like, I really haven't grokked the time banking yet. Can we have a session where we just talk about that? Or I really haven't imagined, like, actually one of the proposals from the fellow Brian Doricott that I spoke with last week, it was like, you guys should do a dreaming process together. Like, you know, like that was his should. It's like, but create a bright future for yourselves as a group and then work out how you're getting there. Like before you do the structural pieces, dream bright future together. Like what would you be super sad if you missed out on, or what would be a regret is another way of asking the question. Like, what would you be just so disappointed if you didn't get to experience with Wise Women Rising in the next, 2 to 5 years? So it's a process. There's a space here this coming weekend, this 9, 10, 11, is a space to look inward at who are we as a community? Where could we dream ourselves into being for 2021 even? Like, where do we want to go? What next steps do we want to take? So I hope that helps clarify.
Would something like a vision board session for the dreaming be relevant for that weekend, or is that completely?
That's beautiful. See, that I think that's part of what could be offered. I tell myself this is why the open space is so precious, because we don't have to prepare necessarily for, well, the proposal is that Friday night we come together and actually start to get our sense around who's going to be in the weekend and what's the possible sense of it. Like, I think Friday night is for sensing and talking about having an open space to talk about what our weekend might look like, how we might like to do it. And I think some of that organising shares we might do together on Friday night as a group, like when our breaks are, how long the sessions are, what sort of overall format. Will we accept double ups or triple ups in the time blocks? Because I would like to be at everything, of course, and maybe there is a sense that we'd all like to be at everything, so we don't want to do any double ups, or maybe we're willing to do double ups. And then one of the key things with open space that I remember is that people harvest from their session, and we bring back to the group what outcomes or what learnings or what inspirations. So what we've come up with out of that conversation, we bring it back and report. So if we do end up doing breakout rooms, which we can do on Zoom, or my sense is that we could do breakout sessions from the main room, or if people want to say, I've got a Zoom account, come and join me on my Zoom number. And then that way, if people want to jump out of one session and into someone else's, they can just make a note of the Zoom room that's hosting. So look, maybe we'll just do more of that on Friday night, is my sense of it. And I did want to pass back to you, Shaz. You did have something else you wanted to offer. And there's 9 minutes left, so I sort of want to hear a checkout round if that's if there's willingness for that now.
Yeah. The bit that I wanted to add speaks directly to that piece about wanting to be at everything, because that was my challenge as a relative. You know, I'd been learning and practicing in VC for probably 3 years when I went and did that. And it was this principle, you know, Marshall Rosenberg's following the aliveness, like what's alive in you, what's calling you, and of course the inevitable, you know, FOMO, the fear of missing out. Oh, if I go here, then I can't do that. I don't know what to do, you know. And resting into a sense of peace and trust that you'll be where you need to be. Oh, and that's another one that, you know, if there's 3 people in your session, then it's, you know, who's here are the right people. To get away from that competitive, or to move beyond that competitive, oh, this session's got 14 and this one's got 3, or it's just like being present in the moment with who's here and with what I'm bringing. And I mean, you know, you could all decide to go to another one so yeah, that's what I wanted to add. And yes, there's the harvest and the sharing and the, you know, letting it evolve a bit, like bringing back in that perhaps the way knows the way, and that I don't have to be at everything to make sure that, yeah, just breathe out. Oh, and I wanted to affirm the dreaming piece, because Marie Miyashiro did bring this piece of the bright future in her work. So I've been thinking about that over the weekend too. So it never ceases to amaze me how we are thinking the same thing at the same time and not even talking about it to each other. Okay.
That's right, they've stopped.
Okay. Shall we have a little check out? Is there anything else for you, Karen? Do you want to have a check out? Would somebody be willing to lead us off in the checkout? Barbara, thanks.
I'm so glad, Natalie, that you asked the question about what was the theme, because somehow I'd lost that. And now I feel much more connected into what we're gathering to do. And Karen, when you said that the possibility of, you know, dreaming the bright future together, I found that very inspiring for me to think about what might I like to offer with that particular, it's given me a lot more anchor to the whole event. So I feel, and now I understand how the open space thing works, I do feel like, yeah, it'll be good if I can think about these things ahead. So I've got some swirls of ideas. Thanks. Irene.
Thank you, Barbara. Well, thanks, Cherie, for the reminders about open space, because I haven't really had much to do with it more recently. And I'm remembering, it requires flexibility, being very flexible about being willing to walk out if something, change track if something's not meeting your needs, and not feel obliged to stay there. So I think it's an interesting way of doing it, and I would be interested to have heard Cheryl say something, given you've been doing that for 10 years. But I won't. Unfortunately, I won't be available for the weekend at all. So that's how that's gone. I need to be flexible about that and have you remind me and tell me and share. So thank you.
Speaking of that, I remember that I did say to someone else who can't be there at that weekend, this 9, 10, 11, that I would ask facilitators in each room to record if they're willing, so that we have like a record of the conversations that we can bring forward and revisit if we want to. And I'll propose that when we catch up together. So hopefully there's something for you to dip into if you'd like to, Irene.
Thank you. Now I'll pass on to Cheryl for a checkout. Thanks.
It's where this is all heading.
Cheryl, I'm missing big chunks of your words. I'm wondering whether you want to turn off your video camera, or if we all turn our cameras off or something, so we can actually hear you, because I don't know, how does that land with other people? I'm just...
Okay, video gone. Don't know if that's going to help, but just curiosity about where everything is moving to and how we're growing together as a community. So yeah, looking forward to hearing more. I'll pass on to Natalie.
That worked. Thanks, Cheryl.
Yeah, I really enjoy getting the grasp of what is going to happen. Just like Irene, I'm not sure how much I'll be able to be there. Yeah, I feel a bit sad about that. I just feel like a little comment when Karen was doing her review or the news. Somehow I remember a dream she had, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 20. She wanted to create a newspaper that only shared good news. And I just had that flashback and thinking, here we are. It's a bit different technology, but you're sharing good news. Yes, I hope I'll be able to be there a little bit one of those days during the weekend, and yes, and find a way to dream up and get clearer about our bright future. Thank you.
Thanks, Nat. Wow, that's a blast from the past, and it's beautiful that it's there's a sense of evolving. I'm part of something evolving here, like this evolving consciousness. I don't believe I'm the only one who's been having these dreams and ideas, and I have this sense of us all coming together to be holding space for this, what's emerging. And there's some words here, something like a greater mother consciousness on the planet that's healthy and strong and able to, you know, ask the kids to clean up their room and in a way that engages them and is playful, but that we get some traction on the planet in terms of the progress and the loving community sense that is alive here. Oh, that's.
Can I share one more thing? I just feel like this weekend I came back from, had a similar idea. The theme was birthing the new earth, and coming together as women and co-creating, really making sure that everybody contributes and is included. So it was a great sense of collaboration. There was no and inclusion, and there's not only this receiving and being on the edge. It was really, we were all part of it in equal kind of way. So yes, I love that it's blossoming everywhere. We somehow want to create something new or ancient. I don't know.
I'm sitting with a little bit of disappointment that I spoke for so long about open space, because I would have liked to have left some room for Cheryl to share something. So I would really like to hear about that. Part of me thought, oh, maybe she could stay on now and you could record it. I need to leave, but I just really wanted to, hear that. Just grateful to hearing from everybody, and it's 101.
Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks so much. Talk next week, and I'll finish the recording now. And Cheryl, if you want to let me know whether or not you can stay on, that'd be wonderful. Bye everybody. Bye.
You mean for her to talk about open space now?